Hello. Let's be lively. My name is Maurice Opolot. I'm an economist. But before I became an economist, I went through journalism and communication at Makerere University. Currently, I work with the Economic Policy Research Center. But City Television Uganda is my heartbeat. That one, everyone knows. And I want you to know that. Yeah, as he has put it, that by 2015, of course, we had so many businesses starting up in Uganda, but most of them collapsed before reaching their first birthday. That's what Fred Muhumza calls a still buzz. That's what we're trying to fight. This gentleman, standing right on camera, is the CEO of City Television in Uganda. His name is Santos Kalema Mutegi. He approached me that I have this idea, can we come together and we push it further. So when I came in, I decided to come up with a few content shows, and one of them is the Cash Incubator. The name sounds money and maybe dollars, but that's not what we intend to bring on board. Our main aim is to bring to the center stage those entrepreneurs who are trying to change lives, their own lives and then the lives of people in other communities. It may be through education, social entrepreneurship, innovations, such as this Safeboda. They are trying to save lives. I will get to know the details. I don't know more about Safeboda. So we are very glad to have Safeboda, one of the founders of Safeboda, right here at Research Media, where we're shooting our first episode of the Cash Incubator. And we will have lots of people here. We shall have farmers here. We shall have musicians. Like, he's a good singer. One time maybe we shall bring him here. And he will have to talk about how he makes it using a guitar. We shall have welders. We shall have all sorts of entrepreneurs. But for today, we decided to go for Safeboda Uganda.
At this juncture, I'd like to welcome Mr. Ronald Hakiza, founder of Yuga Bus, which is also one of the only apps where you can get a ticket for a bus to travel across the region, so Kigali, Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, or within Uganda, at the convenience, of in your phone or your home or wherever. Please welcome with me, Mr. Hakiza.
Hi. I think since I have a problem, I'll stand here. There's a time I saw Safeboda and I saw Safe Chopper, so I'm waiting for Safe Chopper. Rick, is it coming soon? Safe Chopper, I mean, who doesn't want to fly up there? Anyway, I'm Ronald Hakiza and I work with Yuga Bus. Yuga Bus is an online bus ticketing platform for buses. It's a place where you can book any bus to travel anywhere in East Africa. Yuga Bus started in 2016, so it's now 2018, right? Wow, we're past our first birthday, right? Actually, past our second birthday. Okay. We're making it. It's okay. So the story of Yuga Bus starts way back in 2016 when I wanted to travel to a district called Kisoro. Has anyone of you been to Kisoro? Yeah, and I missed the bus. So when I missed the bus, I said to myself, okay, I spent the entire day very busy, and I couldn't book the bus on time. So by the time I reached the bus park, the buses were full. So I said to myself, hey, do we really have to go through this stress to book a bus, go back home, pack your luggage, then go back to the bus park and board the bus? So that's how Yuga Bus started.
So for starters, tell us about Ricky. Who's Ricky and what's Ricky's story?
So a little bit about myself. I'll really try and make it short.
Sure.
If people want to dig deeper, I come from the northern part of this country. I went to school a little bit, but it was unfortunate that I dropped out of school in 2006 after losing my mother because she was the one paying for my fees. And then immediately my father called me and told me, Ricky, you need to come back home and marry. And I told him, no, I'm not going to do that because I'd seen my friends who actually got married and I didn't really admire them anymore. And I wanted to study. My dream was to become a doctor. And right after that, I think it was towards the end of 2006, I started working with the City Council as a revenue tax collector. I don't know if that is the right word, but multiplex.
Yes.
So the guys who put receipts on the cars and wait to be paid. So that was my first job in Lira Town. Later on, I moved to Ginger and did the same. And then from Ginger is when I joined the security firm called Security Plus. They're still in Uganda up to date. I think their offices are in Bugolobi. And then Security Plus brought me to Kampala. Then from Kampala, they took me to Kabale. I worked in Kabale, Kisoro Road. And then later on, I was brought back to Kampala and I joined SEC Security. I think they're still on Kajoncha Street. And then later on, I joined the Kamwesi Hostel as a private security guard. And from that time is when I joined Boda as a Boda driver. Yes, so now it comes to the time when I joined Boda. It was first is before I joined Boda, it was really like one of those things that I wanted to have accomplished. Like I really wanted to join Boda industry. Every time I would stand on the street, I would see so many cars moving. I would see so many Bodas on the street, and I would wonder, and I would actually ask God why I actually did not own one of them. And the friends I would talk to who were Boda drivers would tell me, you can easily make 20,000, 30,000 a day. And I was this security guard who was earning 120,000 shillings. So
A month.
a month, yeah. That was my salary at Akamwesi Hostel. Before it was sold to another company. Then I realized I needed to do something. So from that time, I think that was late 2011, I bought my motorcycle, and then I joined Boda. But after buying my motorcycle, I remained actually working for Akamwesi for 4 months. But in the 4 months, the management decided to raise my salary from 120 to 140,000 shillings, which was a big increase, and I'd served them for quite a while, and they had not revised my salary. But I realized I could easily make the 140,000 in a week. I could actually save that in a week, as opposed to waiting to earn that in a month. So I left Akamwesi Hostel and joined Boda full time, which was a dream come true for me, and it was something that I was passionate about. I really loved it, because for me, issue of going back to school was a gone case, because I knew I wouldn't go back to school anymore. Though I have gone back to school now, but I realized I couldn't go back to school, and the future was really like blocked. But joining Boda was like the option I'd seen. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about Safeboda. How did you get to start Safeboda?
So when I joined the Boda industry, I faced lots of challenges. But as someone who loved what I was doing, of course I made a little bit of money from it. It was way better than the income I had before. And the biggest challenge I faced was, one, the regulation in the industry. I think the authorities, you remember like the stories of the 2010 and all that. So that was like the management behind the Boda industry, which to some extent I had a bit of struggle understanding what they were doing, because I did not agree with so many other things that we were doing. But then what triggered the beginning of Safeboda was the loss of a very good friend. He died on the Boda accident. And when he got an accident, he went to Mulago Hospital. He was admitted, and then like a month later, he was discharged. He went back home. So after he was discharged, I think it was 4 or 5 months later on, the guy couldn't walk. He actually started telling me, I'm feeling headache. He went back to Mulago Hospital. They told him, like, I think there was a problem. There was, I think the blood had entered into his brain, something like that. He had like a brain damage, and he needed like an operation that needed not less than 16 million shillings. And he couldn't raise that kind of money, given that he was a Boda driver. And it was unfortunate that he died. So when he died, I looked at the industry as a very dangerous industry, and I realized there was something that needed to be done. And from that very point, I bought a second helmet for myself. I was working in Kololo. There was a bar called Mishmas, so I was like the chairman and the founder of that stage, and the stage has had so many experts. So when I bought my second helmet, so many experts liked the idea, and I kept on meeting so many of them, and whenever they could ask me, Ricky, why do you have a second helmet and others do not have? I told them really like I want you, my passengers, to be safe. And of course, I had a second helmet, and I also had a good helmet for myself. So they loved the idea, and they always kept on recommending me to other friends. And then the network grew, and then many of them started telling me, but if you could get other boarders to behave like you, then this industry would actually be better. And it's that time that I met Maxime Dieudonné and Alistair Susok, who actually believed that there was something that needed to be done. And I shared with them also my dream and my passion for the industry and the need for training and equipping of border drivers. They believed in it. And then we started working together on the project known as Safeboda. That was, the idea was born in June 2014, and we started working on the project immediately after that. And we have grown. I think as of today, we have over 1,500 boarders with over 60 employees in the organization.
And how much money have you made so far?
Really sorry, I wouldn't really want to go deep into the money bit of it, but as a young organization, we're not yet making money, as in profit. We're not yet making real cash, but we have been able to raise enough funds, and we have the backing of investors. And at the moment, we feel we're in a very good position to take the company to the next level, because we have people who believe in us and they are ready to support us. But I wouldn't really want to mention so much of
no problem.
Of cash figures. Yeah, yeah.
So
it starts when you say Safeboda, they have been able to raise like over $1 million. You know what that means. Yeah.
No, I mean, we've been reading the news, and you know that you've raised some funding and things like that.
Yeah. That's very true. I think we have raised enough funds, and we are indeed a very good position to run the company for the next 1 year and even more. And also, as I said, like, we have the backing of people who believe in us, like investors who really like strongly believe in our mission and in our dream. And they're really like ready to really like support us as long as we deliver, because we also have the KPIs. At the end of the day, the investors also set target, and you have to deliver. But we're in a good position. At the moment, really like, it's not like those days that I really had to worry so much about what to eat, because to be precise a little bit, we ran the company. We were able to run the company for like over 1 year without having any investment, without money. And we reached a time that we almost lost it. We were just like, I think we need to let things go and do other things. But as of to date, we are quite confident that we shall make it, as long as people support us, customers support us, our drivers still continue believing in us, and our investors still continue believing in us, because we need to move the company to a level that it's able to stand on its own. Basically be able to break events. Yeah. As I told you, this idea was born in June 2014. We met and talked in Prunes, that is in Wampeo Avenue, and we started working on the project right away. But we were able to get funding towards the end of June. And it's funny how actually we struggled for all this time, for like a year and something, without money, but then the funding came like at the same time. So this Self Foundation believed in us. They gave us a little bit of grant. GIF also believed in us. They gave us a little bit of funding. A private investor also believed in us. They gave us money, but all of it came within like a period of 2-3 months. But we had spent like over a year trying to get funding to run the business, and it wasn't a success. So what kept me moving was one thing: passion. And I was really passionate about having this problem of people dying in the border industry solved, making sure that border drivers understand what to do, making sure that our beautiful sisters are able to commute from point A to point B confidently, without the fear of who am I riding with, am I safe with this person. So for me, the need for this was really a big deal. And I realized someone needs to do this, and if it's not any other person, then it has to be me. And it was because of the passion that kept me going, and it kept me going until today. And I think it is still keeping me going because I really feel this. I haven't reached where the organization haven't reached where it is supposed to go, and we shall always keep pushing. Right now, the success of the organization will depend on the team, and we're quite confident that we have a strong team that believes in our dream, and we also have drivers who actually understood and believed that we steer the wheel to mobility for all, and we have all understood and believed as well that the future of urban transportation, and this is our belief at the organization, is about safety, and we're doing all it means to make sure that it's safe for anyone to travel in any urban city across Africa and beyond, especially in the urban cities where there are so many motorcycle taxis, and we think we're going to make this with your support, with everyone's support.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you have the support of people, all the people here.
Yeah.
So where do we see Safeboda 5-10 years from now?
Whatever I will be saying right now will be speculation, but at the moment, we've stepped out of Kampala, and we are now setting our footprints in Nairobi. We have actually opened an office, and I think we shall be launching in the next 2-3 weeks to come. And all you want to see Safeboda doing in the next 5 years is solving the problem, making it safer for everyone to travel. And in the next 5 years, you should be able to see Safeboda in all the urban cities across Africa, and millions of rides being taken in a safe mode, as opposed to thousands of rides or millions of rides, millions of unsafe rides being taken every day. The end result of unsafe rides being taken every day means loss of lives. When you visit Mulago Hospital, you get to realize that so many people, very innocent people, it could be you, could be me, border drivers, graduates, people want to go to work. They are victims, and at the end of the day, we need to work hard to make sure we solve the problem. You see, when you go to Mulago Hospital, over 50% of patients who end up in the trachoma ward actually coming from border-related accidents. So someone can think it is only the border driver, but no, the rider as well. So everyone is actually affected. So all we want to see at Safeboda is in the next 5 years, we want to see millions of safe rides being taken daily, and everyone actually adopting to wearing helmet and safe mode of transport around the cities. I think something beyond that would be a bit too much, but
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's very profound when you think about what's happening now. People being robbed by border riders, people pretending to be border riders when they're criminals and carrying weapons and robbing people in dark places, and so there's a huge problem with safety as far as border and also regulation.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what you people are doing, providing safety, and also that the prices are standard. The price that the app gives you is not a different price for Muzungu or Ugandan, and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's kudos.
Thank you. I mean, when you talk about the safety in the border industry, the insecurity also comes in immediately, because there's so many people in the industry who are actually not supposed to be in the industry. They are not there to ride borders, and they are not rare to do like the taxi business, I would actually put it, and that is where you need to set like a minimum standard. So, and that is exactly what Safeboda is trying to do. You want anybody, before they actually start handling a camera, before they start doing anything, to go through a certain process, and that is one thing that was lacking in the industry. You talk to so many people and they tell you it's informal, but what does the word informal mean? I really don't want to open Oxford and try to, or Harvard. I don't know. I'll never open that. But I really think we need to set a minimum standard, and exactly a bit of a requirement for anyone to join border industry. Right now, I bet you can go to Bajaj, Vama, buy your motorcycle, and you start taking people. which puts everybody's life at risk. Someone who is driving his own car, a child who is crossing the road, a lady who wants to go to work, a young man who wants to go to the university. Everyone is actually affected because you're this one person who do not know how to use the road, who do not know how to use the bike, and who does not know what to do, and you're actually on the street. So I think what Safeboda is doing, and at the moment I really see the momentum is quite high. I see people in high positions making positive comment about Safeboda. I've witnessed State Minister speaking positive about us. I've also witnessed the Director of Traffic really being positive about us, and I think it comes back to what the general public wants. I think the public is also quite receptive. They have really been positive about the work we are doing, and they have also been supportive as well. And we think when we join our hands together, no matter how I'm also building a business besides solving the problem, but when we join hands together, we shall figure out the solution to this. And one big gap there, a border driver is able to knock you and knock your side mirrors and run away, rob you and get away with it, is the identification bit of it. You really don't know who he is, you don't know where he's coming from, you don't know who to go to. So there's really like a lot lacking in the industry, and
there's no regulation.
There's no regulation, so the documents are actually there. So there's a lot that has been written about the border industry, and they call it a regulation, but it's not. It's not actually on the ground. It's not being implemented. So that is. So the fact that anyone can really get away with that is the opportunity, right? So you can't really record the number plate of the guy. You don't know his name. There's really like no one you can go to and say, I rode with the border. I picked him from ABCD, and this is what happened. Can you help me trace him? So, and that is the sanity that Safeboda has brought to the industry. Like, you ride with driver number 256, is maybe called John, and we can be like, we know John, and we shall locate him, and he's going to account for his action, which we think that is what is needed, and that will cap like the insecurity and the safety bit of it. The fact that there are so many accidents happening every day, and borders are always, you call them the eyewitness. So every time anything happens, the first people to always reach there are actually border drivers, and we believe they can play a role if we mentor them and train them to be useful to the community, help people whenever they're in a state where they really need help. So we empower them basically. And then the customer service training is to prepare them to change their mentality so they understand that this is actually a business, and then they can serve you professionally. And after the training as well, we actually have a follow-up. And now when customers download the app, you have actually an option to rate every time you ride with the driver, and that is really very important, that you rate the driver based on your experience, and then we can really follow up. And we have the standard we're looking for, and especially when you're really like below and every customer is really like complaining about your service, then maybe you go back to training, or we get you out of the community. Yeah. So for a customer, when you download the app, I think the app comes with like a lot of advantages, and one of them is a fair price. You pay a price that everyone else is going to pay, and it's really like very fair, standard. Then you can also pay at your own convenience using mobile money, which is something that has never been there in the border industry, and we think this is great and is needed for the industry. And then also besides that, the convenience for you to really like pick the nearest driver near you, and also the ability for you to give us direct feedback through like rating, and yeah, those are really like the key major things that the app brings to you.